Good morning, fellow traders. Black Coffee Trader coming at you here on a Saturday forenoon. And I want to just talk to you a little bit about how I chart levels and some of my trading and how I set up my charts, what trade strategy I'm typically using for most of my trades. So let's just jump right in. The major strategy that I use is a break and retest. Let's go to the ES chart. So here, this was yesterday's price action and yesterday's trading, but what I am looking for is I will chart key levels like this or key zones. This is really a zone or an area of interest in the market. This is a daily high. That is the daily 20. That's the daily 50. This is a prior day low. So there's these different levels on the charts, and I'm looking for reactions around that. And I'm looking for specifically a break and a retest for a trade. So essentially what I'm looking for is for that to occur. I want a break of a key level, a retest of that level, and then that signifies, gives me the entry point for further upside in the trade. Same thing occurs to the downside. If I'm looking for a break and a retest of a key level and continued downside below with the entry somewhere here for further downside. That is what I am looking for, and I would say probably 98% of the trades I take are that trade. I also will trade a bounce of a key level or a rejection of a key level at times, but that is very, very few. I'm really looking for the break and retest. So in order to have the break and retest, you also have to have these levels. And how we acquire those levels, or how I acquire those levels, is what I want to talk about today. So I've gone through, I trade the NASDAQ, I trade the ES, I trade the Dow Jones, and I trade the Russell, the four major indices. And then I also trade gold some. So I've gone through and charted the levels this morning and basically what I do is periodically I will rechart these levels. And I did that this morning. And I ended up here with the Russell, and I thought, man, maybe I should have started with the Russell, worked backwards, and ended up with NQ, because most people are trading NQ. But so be it. We're here, and I'll walk you through that. So we'll go to the daily chart. This is typically where we will start. And you can see there are some lines on the chart, and there's a few things here I want to talk to you about. I pay a lot of attention to the daily 20. That's this purple line. That is the daily moving average. And I have the daily 50. I have the daily 100 and the daily 200. So the purple one is the daily 20. Basically a simple moving average, a daily simple moving average, the 20-day moving average. We have the 50-day moving average, and the blue line is the 100-day moving average, and the orange line is the 200-day moving average. That is something that I put on all of my charts. And then every single day, what I will do is I will come in here and I will adjust a horizontal line like you see here. Let's actually grab the daily 20 because it's going to show up better on the charts if we go there. So here's the purple dotted line is the daily 20. And as you can see, this is where it's at right at this moment. It's sitting right at this level. If I go back every single day, what I will do, let me go back a little bit. Every single day I will come in here and I will adjust this to wherever the level is currently each day. Basically, this moves every single day. So I will set that at that point. Same thing with the daily 20. We're sitting right there. Once I have that set, now I can go back to my 2-minute chart and I can find this daily 20. It's sitting right here. See that daily 20? That's the one that we just set. So now in the trading day, I can see where that daily 20 is sitting. That is a lot better than if I try to put that daily 20 on this chart. It's going to end up looking like every other simple moving average, and it's really not correct because it's not going to be tracking it on a daily basis. I'm looking for that on a daily basis. The other lines that you see on the charts is the daily highs and lows. So in fact, I'm going to go back to the 2-minute chart to show you that. So here I have a heavier purple line that is the daily 20, the prior day high, or the daily high. So I just charted this morning, or maybe I charted this one on Friday afternoon, yesterday afternoon. But this was yesterday's high. And then down here we have a heavier blue line. This is yesterday's low. If I scrunch this together, whoops, I'm on the wrong thing here. If I scrunch this together, you'll see a thinner here we go. You'll see a thinner blue line right here. This is the Friday's daily low, the New York session low, I should say. See how my charts are marked out? I have this set for the New York session. So the New York session is a lighter color, and the rest of the the non-New York session is a black color. So this is the New York session low. This is the Thursday New York session low. So I have the prior day low, and maybe we call this the PPDL, the prior day low. Same thing occurs up here. This is this is yesterday's high, the Friday high, and then right here below is the Thursday high. So basically all I'm doing with this is I was literally just manually putting that line on there. If I go back, you can see like every day I'll go back and then I will mark out the daily high and low. So here you can see I've adjusted. This is the Thursday high, the thinner line, the Thursday low, the thinner line. I'm looking at 2 days. I really try to keep the last 2 days on my chart. So that's the other lines that you see here. So that's that. So we have the daily moving averages, the 20, 50, 100, and 200-day moving averages. We also have the prior day high and low and the prior day high and low. I guess we'll term it that way this morning. Now, first step is to, once we have the chart set up, is we're going to be looking at the daily chart and looking for big levels, technical levels that pop out to us. And let me show you what I use. So I'm going in. This is on NinjaTrader. So I'm going to where's it at now? Region highlight Y, and we're just going to set this. Why is that not working? Region highlight. There we go. So we're going to create this level, and this is not where it's going to be. I'm going to show you how I set this up. So go to properties, and here we have the Russell, the daily, this chart. I'm going to set this to all charts so it shows up on all charts. Now I'm going to come down here to the color area, and I'm going to color this a lime green, and the opacity, we're going to make that 20. We're going to go to the outline. On the outline, we're going to also make that green, and the opacity, we're going to turn that down to 50 and select, and now we have that level, this box on the chart. So there's 2 levels that jump out to me. One is this low area. So let me zoom in here. One is this low area right here, and that lines up also with this high coming in here from back in July. So we're going to leave that. This is the most recent spot. This is the July is really close to there. You've got several reactions there through July and into August. And I also like this high point. So where are we stuck? Here we go. So let's zoom in here to make sure we get this level set to where we want it. So right here you can see this little wick high. So now I'm going to select that. I can take this and I can make this zone higher or lower. So we're going to put that to right there around the 2334.6. So there we go, like that. So there's a major level, and what I'm looking for here is we have price that has come up, tested the level, broken, fell below it, broke through it, and we've held, we came back, and we tested it again. So big picture, you have a break. This could have been a short-term break and retest. Short, and then you also have this now would be a break and retest long. Now this is a big picture daily chart. This is not something that we're doing trading our funded accounts, but in any case, that's what I'm looking at. So the other level that is noticeable is this high that you see coming from back here in February of this year. Which also lines up with a couple of these lows. So we're going to chart that as well. Now, since we have this little zone created, all we have to do is just hit copy and paste. And now I have another one of these, and I can move this to this high. So let's zoom into this a little bit. And I like where that's at. So now let's set that on this low and see how this lines up. I think we're going to go with this wick right here. This is the lowest wick. We're going to move it up to right there. We also have a reaction right here at this high, which I kind of like. Let's zoom into this a little bit. I think I'm going to actually, I'm going to leave it because we've got several reactions right here. You can see these candles were kind of set right on top of that level. So that's where we'll leave it on the daily. I'm looking for just a couple of majors, and these are kind of the couple major things that jump out. Now we go down to the 4-hour chart, and as you can see, we have those levels on our 4-hour chart. Now let's break this down even further, maybe tweak or adjust, and look at other levels that jump out to us. So what else do we see on the 4-hour chart? Well, first off, I'm going to go to the high. So the Russell was at the all-time high recently. Let's just go set that. So I'm going to copy and paste, move this up, and now I'm going to go make this red. So going into properties here, I'm going to make this red. Okay, now we're set. And the reason I do that is because this red, for me, signifies a supply high zone. So this would be a supply high zone. This would be a demand zone below. So let's move this up. I'm going to just get this dialed in here a little bit. We're really just worried about the major high here. But there's also several wicks there, so we might as well just plot that. So somewhere right there. So we really have kind of that high area. Now, what next? On the 4-hour chart, you've got several highs sitting right here. Kind of want to adjust this one maybe. I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave that set. I like where that's at. That's that big one that we set on the daily. You've got some lows coming in here. That lines up a little bit with some of these highs, but this is a little bit sloppy. I like these lows around this daily 50. So if we set a level, you've got a major high coming in here. Let's copy this and paste it. And we're going to take this high coming in right around the daily 50. And what does that do if we kind of zoom in here a little bit? I'm really just looking for major reactions in kind of key areas, a key level or a key zone area. You've got this high, you've got a high here. Also like where these low wicks are forming. You've got this sitting right above. Kind of want to move that down. What does this look like if we go to the top of this daily high here? That lines up very well there. Typically, and the reason we're doing this, again, is just that if and when price comes to this area, now we have a zone or a level or multiple levels here that we've seen previous reactions in price, and we're looking to take that trade off of and give us a low risk, high reward setup. So that one, also kind of like this recent little low lining up with here. So let's just paste again. And let's bring this one up here. Let's see what this looks like. Again, we're on the 4-hour chart, so we'll zoom in a little bit deeper. I like this high right here. I'm looking at this high. You've got some reactions here. This is a little bit sloppy here, but I do like that. But I also like this low. That's a pretty big zone, though. It's a pretty big zone. Let's leave it here. I'm not sure that I like this necessarily. Let's dive into the hourly chart as we zoom in a little bit further. And so basically what I've done here is we started with the daily, and then we try to find what else do we see that's really noticeable. This one was really noticeable here on the 4-hour chart. This one, there's something here. There's something here, but I think I need to zoom in a little bit further to see that in a little bit more detail. So we'll go down to the 60-minute chart. And so this is basically, it's not that hard. It's just, the other thing that I've found over the years is if you're using and charting technical levels, you can find levels out there. You can find, hey, this guy shows levels. This guy, there's a lot of people that will share what levels, just like I'm doing here. But to really trust your system, you need to, in my opinion, you need to make your own levels. Because you will be the most confident in your trading if you have your levels that you've set, the way you read the market, what you're seeing. Now when price comes to that area, you will feel more confident in taking a trade setup on the levels that you've charted because you've got your own game plan, your thesis, and how you see the market again. You can use this, you can use these levels or use something like this to get started, but obviously you've got to make your own decisions on how you see the market. So see how this changes as we get into, now we're in the hourly chart, and we start to, things start to get a little bit more granular. We can see, this was that level we just created on the 4 hour. Around the daily 50. I really like that. I'm not sure that I'll adjust that. I love this little wick high here. You've got a little daily high set. I love that. I think that's really good. It's in a good spot. Now let's dive into this chart, this area right here that I was not convinced with on the 4 hour. These lows are kind of jumping out to me. Notice how we've got a high here, some lows here coming in. Let's move this thing down to this area right there. I like this little low, this daily low we had on the 26th. That lines up with some of these. You've got a little bit of a high here. There's some reactions going on there. And then I almost like that high around the daily 50. Whoops, I was calling this the daily 100. That was the daily 50. The blue line is the daily 100. The yellow is the daily 50. I kind of like that. I really kind of like that. Let's see what that looks like bigger picture. Now, I had this recent little swing low has my attention right here. And that really lines up with this level over here. So let's bring this in. And let's see what this looks like. Okay, now, how do we see further reactions looking left on the chart from that point? Again, I'm not crazy about having this big of an area. That's a pretty big area. Well, you know what? I'm going to just set it there because that's kind of what I see. And maybe it just needs to be that big of an area. Okay, that can make some sense. If you look here, the high of this is coming in at right around these the overnight lows. I don't really like the overnight lows that well. Almost rather like this little daily high right here that we have. On December 1st, you have a daily high that runs in with this area here. Let's zoom in a little bit further. I'm actually going to leave it there. I kind of like that. You've got some resistance coming in right here. Got a little bit of a flip zone going on there. I like that. We're going to leave that at that spot. Now we got to dive into some of these highs. And now we're going to be above price again. So I'm going to take the red band, copy paste, and we're going to move that down in here. And I really want to dive into yesterday's high and kind of set this right here at yesterday's high. And then what else do we line up with there? You've got the yesterday's high, the Thursday high, the Wednesday high, which really lines up with some of this area also. This is an overnight. See, here's the other thing I should point out. It's sometimes these overnight lows or highs are important, but oftentimes I am way more likely to work around these daily highs. Matter of fact, from that perspective, these daily highs are pretty significant here. Let's move this. Here you have 1, 2, 3, 4 daily highs that are right in the same spot. Really lines up with this overnight low, this big low overnight, and then we again have a morning high. I'm going to leave that there. What does that look like if we look left? Looking left on the chart, lines up with this. And something tells me that we should be paying more attention to some of these highs from the last couple of days, but maybe that just develops over the next couple of days. Because if you look at this, this is really, once we broke this area right here, we've came back and then we did this little king's crown, and we finally broke through it. Made a beautiful head and shoulders here, by the way, very much leading to the downside there, but this zone right here is a little bit tricky right there, and maybe we are better off to just wait and see if the market can go above this level right here, and maybe this just becomes an area we're just kind of careful in and maybe don't trade very much. So I'm going to zoom into these lows a little bit here. still not convinced that I've got this set up quite right. But I also am not sure about these lows. I do like this though. This low lines up with that low from the 4th. I think I'm going to move this. I really do. I think I'm going to move this up to here, to this daily low right here. That's a recent low, which kind of corresponds with these highs. And then we're going to go there. I know this is a little bit sloppy here, and there's a lot of action right in this area. But I do like this daily high here from the 1st. You've got some overnight resistance in that same area. You've got some reactions right here. Let's see what that looks like on the bigger picture. Yeah, see, I like that. See how this lines up with these reactions we've had back here. Let me go on my draw indicator so you can see a little bit better. This is a little bit sloppy, but you've got rejections coming in here. You've got a nice little hold coming in right there. A little rejection going on right there. And then you have a rejection here, which caused downside. We stayed below that until we came up here, rejected again, and now we flipped. Yeah, that's it. That's really it. That's the big one. So we need to be looking at this level as a hold, and this is really your major flip. You're seeing this as the big area below. You're seeing this as the big area above. Here you have an area above, area above. Yeah, I like that. I think that's the way to end up and land on that. That's good. It's really good. Okay, so now we have our game plan there, and you know what? I think I'm probably going to leave it at that. Do we have anything up here that lines up? See, this little wick, I don't know, this might have been a news wick. Not that crazy about that, but I also kind of feel like we should have this on our charts right here at these highs. I'm going to just set a level right here. Right there at that daily high. And I'm also going to take this little intraday high right here. So I'm paying attention to that little intraday high, and I'm paying attention to this high. This is my area of interest if price comes back to that level. So again, I enjoy doing this. I really enjoy taking the time to study these charts and create a game plan and a thesis. So now we've kind of ended here. I'm going to end it there. I really like that. And you can dive into this, and sometimes I do. If we've got price really in an area for a while, I may zoom into like the 15-minute, the 30-minute, and just see if I see anything else. But I have just found that it really works better to start way out here on the daily, move into like the 4-hour down to the hourly, and we just kind of refine this. Now, what does this mean on the Russell, for example, next week as we get into the trading week? So we'll see where the market opens up tomorrow night, but we are sitting right in the last couple of days lows, which lines up exactly with this little flip spot from back here in December the 4th, early December. So we're looking for the market to hold. So right now, if you look at the hourly wicks, this is actually kind of showing a little bit of a bearish sign, just looking at the wicks themselves, which is not an overall indicator. But really what we're looking for is the market basically, oops, I missed that. There's some sitting out here. Does that change my thesis? We've got two highs coming in. I'm going to leave that. I'm going to just leave this. So what we're looking for here is price to stay above, and in this current setup, we're looking for this to continue higher. Let me just zoom out here. So I think what we'd be looking for, you've got a little mini head and shoulders here. Notice that. So now you also have a bigger picture head and shoulders forming here. See that? So now the question is going to be on Monday, does this market reject off of maybe this level or this level? Do we see something like this that rejects and we make a finish off this right shoulder here? Is that something that we're going to see, or do we see a move above and a hold here, and we eliminate this head and shoulder look and we go for further upside? So again, and here's why these levels are important. If price goes to the prior day high, I'm the big ones for me are that prior day high, prior day low. I love longing this, and I love shorting this. I really, really, really do. That makes a lot of sense to me, and it's usually a pretty high probability trade. But if price does something crazy and there's no setup, once we get to this level, now what do we see? Do we see this hold and reject, or do we see this break through, hold, and go higher? And that gives us our trade set up there. So if that occurs, what we can do is once price gets above, we can get into a position here, and our reward is up to this next level around these highs, and our risk can be right below here. This is what I like. Now I can get into the trade. I have a very good game plan. I'm comfortable getting out here. If we fall back below, it means we're probably going to see further downside, so my trade idea is invalidated, and there's a high probability that it can trend higher to this next level. That's really how I use the break and retest. So this is just something that I like to do every, I don't know, I would say every couple weeks or so. I will literally clear out these charts and just restart, rebuild them, and find the levels that I'm comfortable with, and then that gives me a trading plan going into the next week. So looking at the Russell, let's look at the NASDAQ. This is where I'm at on the NASDAQ. Again, very similar picture. You can see some of these key levels as I've got them charted out here. And obviously some of that changes a little bit day to day, but for the most part, once I've got something set, it pretty well stays for the week unless something major changes in the marketplace. Something that jumps out to me on the NASDAQ. We've got this little, whoops, that's sure not a straight line. We've got this little bearish or little channel, so to speak. Maybe a better place to draw it would be here. And we had kind of stair-stepped this thing lower, but instead of that continuing here, what happened yesterday is we actually broke above that. So I don't know, I feel like if we can break above this next level high, there's a good opportunity for further upside on the NASDAQ. Yes. Actually quite similar, very, very similar. And the big one, I've talked about this before in some of my videos, the 6870s is this major area right here. And we have finally broken above that. We've struggled. We've been below it here for the last week or two, week and a half. We've finally come back above this. So see back here, we broke above that level. And now we did again. Does that give us further upside? So again, think of this a little bit. This is a bigger picture thesis. We're looking at NQ. We're looking at ES here. We've broken above a major level. We're looking for further upside. We just looked at the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ, we're looking at this level. Does this level break? Let's dive into this a little bit more. I thought there was more of a key level down below. Not really. So we're looking for that level on NQ. Does this specific level break? Does that continue to give us further upside? It looks like we're in that area. We've broken this trend. We're starting to break out of that, so we like that. That's a thesis for further upside. On the Dow Jones, kind of still in this little channel, but we have a pretty big area here that we've stayed above for a while, so it's not quite as clear on the Dow Jones. I would say it's probably trending upward there. That's a little bit sloppy, so we're not quite as sure on the Dow Jones. And then on the Russell, again, what we're looking for here, we're looking for on the Russell is can this maintain and hold above? Does this head and shoulders pattern hold? And do we create further downside? Or does this break out of this shoulder and go high? So for me, this is helpful to trade all of the indices. I find that, in my opinion, the NASDAQ and the ES are really kind of the drivers of the market. What they do typically is followed by the other markets, but not always. But here we have a thesis for it looks like we're going to see further upside potentially on the NASDAQ. It looks like we're going to see further upside potentially on the ES. On the Dow Jones, we're not quite as sure. It might, depending on if this area holds, if this continues to hold, which is so far it looks like it. I mean, we have been a little bit choppy here, so this is an area to kind of stay out of. If we can break above that daily high, that looks like potential further upside. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. And again, we just looked at the Russell. So this is just how I go into the next week then with an idea and a game plan on kind of the if-thens. If the market stays and holds above this level, then I'm going to look for a break and retest above it. If the market falls below these daily lows, if we fall below this major level, basically if we lose this 25 1520 area, we're probably going to see further downside. And then how does that line up with the NQ or the ES? Does the NQ and ES give me the similar picture to what I'm seeing here? And it just helps to create a daily, not really a daily bias, but a game plan for bigger picture on the day. For me, it helps me to figure out, hey, is today looking like we're looking for longs today, or are we looking for shorts today? And I find that to be very, very helpful. So anyway, sorry, this video has taken a lot of time. I'm not sure how long this video has been running. It's been longer than I've kind of anticipated. Gosh, we're over half an hour already. So I need to shut up, but just wanted to give you a little idea of how I trade, or how I set up my levels, and how I set up my thesis for the day, for the week, and then trade accordingly. So hope you guys enjoyed this. Have a great weekend, and we'll catch up with you on the next one. Take care, and so long.